A UFO religious cult based in San Diego, California, named Heaven's Gate, believed in Earth planet recycling and other complicated beliefs including aliens and spaceships. The group was founded by Marshall Applewhite in the 1970s, who claimed that a spaceship would take the Heaven's Gate members to the next level of existence. Without further ado, let's start our exciting story. Before we start, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell to turn on notifications. Marshall Applewhite was an American UFO religious, born on March 17, 1931 in Spurs, Texas. During his school career, he became very religious, and in 1952 he earned his bachelor's degree in philosophy and enrolled at Union Presbyterian Seminary to study theology. While in there, he married Ann Perez, and they later had 2 children. During that time, he decided to leave the school pursuing a music career and becoming the music director of a Presbyterian church in North Carolina and a baritone singer enjoying spirituals. In 1954, Applewhite was enlisted in the United States Army and served for 2 years, then left and enrolled at the University of Colorado, where he earned a master's degree in music. After that, he moved to the University of Alabama so as to teach. But he lost his position there after engaging in a sexual relationship with a male student because of his frustrated desires, the thing that caused him to be separated from his wife when she knew about the affair in 1965, and they divorced 3 years later. In 1965, Applewhite moved to the University of St. Thomas in Houston in order to serve as the chair of the music department. While there, his students regarded him as a stylish dresser. He also became a locally popular singer performing with the Houston Grand Opera. In 1970, he resigned from the University of St. Thomas citing depression and other emotional problems. In 1971, he moved to New Mexico, where he operated a delicatessen. He was popular with customers but decided to return to Texas later that year. Applewhite's father died around that time. The loss took a significant emotional toll on him, causing severe depression, and his debts mounted, forcing him to borrow money from friends. In March 1972, he met a 44-year-old married woman named Bonnie Nettles in a hospital where she had been working as a nurse. The latter was interested in theosophy and biblical prophecy. During that time, the two quickly became close friends and developed a friendship relationship. Furthermore, Applewhite later recalled that he felt as though he had known her for a long time and that they met in a past life. From the other hand, Bonnie told him that their meeting had been foretold to her by extraterrestrials, persuading him that he had a divine assignment. By that time, he had begun to investigate alternatives to traditional Christian doctrine, including astrology. He also had several visions, including one in which he was told that he was chosen for a role like that of Jesus. By that time, Bonnie's husband divorced her because she became close to Applewhite and moved to live with him. She also lost custody of her 2 children, and while they were living together, they read some books including the King James Bible and other scientific fiction books such as the works of Robert Anton Heinlein and Arthur Charles Clarke. After they gained some knowledge from the books, they concluded that they had biblical prophecies assigned to fulfill and they had been given a higher level of mind and intelligence than other people. Furthermore, they both claimed that they were the 2 witnesses described in the Book of Revelation. So in 1973, they started traveling throughout the southwest and western United States so as to teach others about their beliefs, identifying themselves as the 2 or the UFO 2. Moreover, they claimed that they would be killed and restored to life in a view of others transported onto a spaceship. While traveling, they had little money and occasionally resorted to selling their blood or working odd jobs to earn some dollars. They often camped out and sometimes did not pay their lodging bills. During that period, Applewhite was captured after he failed to return a renting car in Missouri, so he was extradited to St. Louis and jailed for 6 months. After being released, he and Bonnie resolved to contact extraterrestrials and they began looking for people with the same thoughts. At that time, they published advertisements for meetings, where they recruited people whom they called the crew. During the meetings, Bonnie and Applewhite claimed that they are representing beings from another planet, informing participants who agreed to be part of the experiments would be brought to a higher evolutionary level. Applewhite believed in the ancient astronauts hypothesis, which claimed that extraterrestrials had visited humanity in the past and placed humans on Earth and would return to collect a few. He often discussed extraterrestrials using phrases from Star Trek and stated that aliens communicated with him. In 1975, at one meeting of 80 people, the crew revealed that they have been told they were the two witnesses written into the Bible story of the end time. The organization was named the Human Individual Metamorphosis. Later on the same year, the crew members sold all their properties and said farewell to their beloved ones. They then assembled in a hotel located in Waldport, Oregon. Subsequently, the group vanished from the hotel as well as the public eye. At the same night, a former reporter named Walter Cronkite reported on the CBS News that the group had disappeared, stating, "A score of persons have disappeared. It's a mystery whether they have been taken on a so-called trip to eternity or simply been taken." But the fact was that Applewhite and Bonnie were already arranged for the group to go underground and led the group across the country, sleeping outside in the tents and begging in the streets, in an attempt to evade the authorities and the media too, in order to make the crew focus on their purpose to achieve higher evolutionary level, which they claim they have already achieved. Applewhite and Bonnie used a lot of aliases, but Do and Ty were the most useful names, and Applewhite stated that these names were meaningless. The group also had several names too, but Heaven's Gate was the most useful and the last one. From 1976 to 1979, the group lived in campgrounds in the Rocky Mountains of Texas under Applewhite's orders because he believed was directly related to Jesus. In 1980, Applewhite and Bonnie had about 80 followers in crew, many of whom held jobs, often working with computers or as car mechanics. In 1982, Applewhite and Bonnie allowed their disciples to call their families, and after 1 year later, in 1983, they allowed their followers to visit their families on Mother's Day for a short period of time, and they were instructed to tell their families that they were studying computers at a monastery. The vacation was intended to prove to the followers' families that they remained with the group on their own accord. Anyway, at the same year, Bonnie had surgically removed an eye because of a cancer, which was diagnosed years earlier. She lived for more 2 years and died in 1985. After her death, Applewhite told the crew that she had traveled to the next level, abandoning her body because she had too much energy to remain on Earth. Furthermore, he said that her spirit had traveled to a spaceship and received a new body, adding that the followers would do the same. Subsequently, he was successfully able to prevent the followers from leaving except for one member. Years passed, and on October 1996, the group rented a mansion in Rancho Santa Fe, California, and purchased alien abduction insurance. At the same year, they recorded videos in which they offered the viewers a last chance to evacuate the Earth.
Your only chance to evacuate is to leave with us.
At the same time, Applewhite knew about the approach of Comet Hale Bopp and was convinced that it was a sign to exit the Earth. He also believed that Bonnie was aboard a UFO and planning to meet him. He told his followers that the spaceship would take them to another Empyrean destination after their death. He then persuaded 38 followers to prepare for ritual suicide. In March 1997, the followers recorded farewell videos, as well as Applewhite recorded his final video in which he described the suicide, the final exit, and remarked, "We do in all honesty hate this world." On the 22nd of March, the members began to suicide by taking barbiturates and alcohol, and then placed bags over their heads. The members were all wearing Nike shoes and black uniforms, with a small bag that contained identification and a $5 bill and 3/4. The suicide occurred over 3 days, and Applewhite was one of the last 4 to die, with the help of 3 assistants before the suicide too. On March 26, the police received an anonymous call to search the mansion.
Hello?
Yes, I need to report an anonymous tip. Who do I talk to?
Okay. This is regarding what?
This is regarding a mass suicide, and I can give you the address.
They found 39 bodies, 21 women and 18 men between the ages of 26 and 72, who died in 3 groups over 3 days. Heaven's Gate members believed that the earth would be recycled before 2027, and they had to leave their bodies so as to survive in the next level. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss more videos of crime and mysteries and much more interesting stories. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.